This video is all about AI SQL functions in Databricks. And our goal for today is to take two PDF documents that are representative of resumes and take that unstructured data that's in the resume and convert it into a Databricks table using a few different AI SQL functions in Databricks. Here's the official documentation for AI SQL functions in Databricks. I'd encourage you to go through and look at all of these. Specifically today, we will be using the AI parse document function, which will extract the content from the resume. It'll extract it as structured content. And then we will also be using this kind of general purpose AI query function, which allows us to use an LLM model and plug it in with the data in the tables and views that we'll be working with. And you can prompt it similar to how you would with ChatGPT or something like Gemini. So we have these two resume documents in a volume in Databricks, resume 1 and resume 2. You can see that they're pretty generic resumes for a data engineer with things like the name, email, phone number, experience, professional summary, and we are going to extract the information from these documents and save them into a table. Here is what the table will look like. So you can see we're extracting things like name, email, phone number, years of experience, education, current job title, and skills, previous employers. So now that I've given you the overview, let's jump right into it. So here's the notebook where we'll be doing all of our actual work. The code is linked in the comments, so feel free to check out this code in my GitHub repository. And the way that I've structured this is I've created a series of temporary views for each step so that we can see exactly what each step is doing and actually query the data so we can visualize it. So I've broken it down into a few steps, which is totally fine because it helps you see the transformation process, but you could also, in theory, group some of these steps all into the same query and reduce the number of steps. But for the sake of this tutorial, to help us understand and learn better, I've broken it into multiple steps. So step 1 is we are going to use the AI parse document function, which basically just extracts all of the information from the PDF. It gets all the elements from that PDF. So what we're doing is we are reading from our volume, which again is right here. It's stored in my workspace catalog in my default schema. And I've just uploaded the resumes into this volume. So if you have more, you could add more, but I just have 2 for this demo. So you can see we're reading the files from that volume, and we're just getting everything that's a PDF. And what we are returning is the candidate ID, just using this row number function, and the path, which is a default field when you use this read files function, and also and then we are using our AI parse document function and plugging in the content, which again comes from this read files function. And we are parsing all the elements out into a field called parse. Okay, and I'm going to create a temporary view called parse docs, and I will run that. Okay, and let's check out what that looks like. Okay, so you can see that we have our candidate ID, we have the file path of the files, and then we have all of this parsed information. So if I expand that a little bit, you can see we're getting all of the elements from the PDFs. You can see things like the name of the candidate, where they're from. You can see their LinkedIn. So it's all there. It's a little bit messy, so we got to clean it up. So let's go to the next step. Okay, in this step, we are going to turn those parsed elements into a single string, and then we are also going to clean up some of the extra stuff that we don't need. So again, I'm creating a temporary view. This time I'm calling it extracted text, and I'm using this concat function to basically loop through everything in our previous result that is a content object. So if you see here, wherever this content information is, we're going to leave out all this extra junk. And then we're going to return it as resume text. So we're kind of just combining it all into one big string. I'm going to run that. Okay, and then let's see what it looks like. So I'm just going to do select star from that temporary view. Okay, so yeah, you can see it's looking a little bit cleaner now. We have just the information that we care about, none of those extra elements that don't mean anything to us, and it's all just one big string. So moving on to the next step is we are going to convert that string into JSON format. It'll still be a string, but it'll be in JSON format. So again, creating a temporary view. This time we'll call it raw response. And here's where we are using another AI query. So what we do is the first argument is the model. In this case, I'm using Llama, but you could use any other model that's available within your workspace. And then second argument is a prompt. So similar to how you would in ChatGPT, give it a prompt. So I'm saying extract the following information from the resume and return only valid JSON with these exact keys. So I'm giving it a prompt and I'm telling it what I expect it to return. You can see I have name, email, phone, years of experience, and I'm also specifying the data type. So string for most of them. I have an array of string for things like skills. And then the third argument is your resume text, which again is this one up here. Okay, so let's run that. And let's see what it looks like. Oh yeah, I did want to mention while that's running that I did have to add an extra piece that not to include any messages or summary before the object because it kept wanting to give me just a little bit of extra information and then the JSON structured string, which made it so it actually wasn't a legitimate JSON structure, and then this next step didn't work, so I had to add that extra part of the prompt. Okay, so here's what it looks like now. You can see it is nicely formatted, similar to JSON, but it is still just a string if you look at the data type. Moving down, we are going to convert that string into a variant object using the parse JSON function. And again, I do have all of the functions that we use. I have the official Databricks documentation linked in the comments, so feel free to deep dive. But basically, I'm just taking the raw JSON field from the previous view and plugging it in. So let's run that. And then see what it looks like. Okay, so now you can see if I hover over it, it's a variant. The data type is now variant, and it looks like it's nicely formatted into that JSON structure. Okay, so we're pretty much done now. The last thing we need to do is we need to take, using that temp view, just like we have in all the steps, now we need to parse that data out so that they are returned as individual columns. So we use parse data, we grab the element called name, we give it a data type, a string, and then we can give it an alias. And that creates this temporary view called final. So let's run it and take a look at the results. Okay, so now you can see for each resume we have a record and we have multiple fields. We have name, email, phone, and all of the other fields that we told it to extract. And for the last and final step, we are going to take that temporary view and save it as an actual table in Databricks. So create and replace that table. It's going to live in the workspace catalog default schema, and we're just going to call it resume data. And then I'll go ahead and kick this one off so that we can see what it looks like after it runs and prove that we were able to create that table. Okay, so it looks like the view was created, and there you go. So it looks the same as the temporary view, but now we see that from this table, we now have all the information that we told it to extract from those documents. And that's it. So in just a few simple queries using a few AI functions, we have taken data from PDF resumes that were previously unstructured and converted them into structured tabular data and saved it as a Databricks table. I hope this was helpful. If it was, please like this video and subscribe to my channel.